What's up everyone? Welcome to Notes. In today's video, we will be discussing that why a lot of developers and software engineers are switching towards NestJs, especially in the world of Node.js ecosystem. Okay, and NestJs is getting a lot of popularity in this time right now. And today we will study that what is the reason that Nest is getting so much popularity and why a lot of developers are switching from Express to Nest.js based backend applications. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so today we will be comparing our Node.js with our Express, and then we will compare Express with Nest.js, and we will see that how these solved a lot of problems. Okay, so we will be going from left to right, such thing like this. Okay, so our arrow goes from our left to right. Okay, so let's start with Node.js. Okay, so let me just first explain that why Node.js came into the picture. Okay, so let's say if before Node.js we were having our browsers, and that browsers were executing our main JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript was the only language which was executed inside our browsers. Okay, so if I bring JavaScript, so it will be something like this. Okay, so we were executing JavaScript only inside our browsers. Okay, but yeah, JavaScript was so much popular language, so they thought that yeah, if there could be any other way that we could execute JavaScript on our server side as well. So this is our server, so this is our server, and if there could be any other way to execute JavaScript not just on the browser but on the server as well. Okay, so that issue was resolved by Node.js. Okay, so let me just bring Node.js right over here. Okay, so Node.js came into the picture, and Node.js said that yeah, I will provide you a runtime in which you can execute your JavaScript language not on the front end side but on the server side as well. Okay, so that's the problem which was resolved by Node.js. So that's what is called the runtime for JavaScript. Okay, now as Node.js came into the picture, people started to write their backend applications with the help of Node.js core libraries. Okay, so let me just show you that how you can write your endpoints with that Node.js core HTTP libraries and can create your REST endpoints. Okay, so if I go to my Obsidian, let me just open my Obsidian, and here you can see that I'm having a side-by-side comparison. Let me just collapse this thing for now, and on the left side you can see that yeah, I'm creating endpoints using our core Node.js modules, which is this HTTP module. Okay, so I can create my, let's say, get endpoint in such a way like this. I can create HTTP server, then I can define that if there is a get request and the URL is this, so execute this logic, and moving on, if there is something else, then execute this logic, and then execute this logic, or then execute this logic. Okay, and again I'm checking that if it's a get request, or it can be a delete request, or it can be a patch request. I think these are the fundamentals for creating those REST APIs. Okay, but now here you can see that there is a big major problem which is coming right over here, and that is too much boilerplate code involved for writing these endpoints. Okay, and you can see just for creating maybe one, two, or maybe I can say three, and let's say yeah, four and five. I think for creating these five endpoints, I have to write a lot of boilerplate code, and I think it's nearly about 200 plus lines of code involved in just for creating those five simple endpoints. Okay, so that was the problem with our core Node.js. Okay, so for creating endpoints, developer had to write a lot of boilerplate code. Okay, so that was the problem which came with our plain Node.js. Okay, let me just write down. Okay, so let's say for creating too much code. Okay, too much code for, let's say, for simple endpoints, for simple uh, REST endpoints. Okay, so yeah, so that was the problem which came with Node.js, that you have to write too much code for creating those simple endpoints. Okay, and for resolving that issue, then people started moving towards Express. Okay, then Express came into the picture, and Express said that yeah, you can create your endpoints with Node.js, but I will provide you abstraction in which you have to write less boilerplate code for creating those endpoints. So let me just give a diagram of what they're talking about. Okay, so let's say if this is my server. Okay, so let me just mark this server. So inside my server, obviously I will be having my Node.js right over here. Okay, and this is my Node.js simple right over here. Okay, and let me make it a rectangle. Okay, so this is my Node.js, and obviously I know that writing APIs with Node.js is too much headache because I have to write a lot of boilerplate code. So then came Express into the picture, and Express provided us with abstraction. Okay, so that's the Express right over here. Let me make it smaller if I can. So yeah, then Express came into the picture, and Express said that yes, I will. You can write your endpoints, okay, somewhat like this, but I will provide you an abstraction, okay. And with that abstraction, you can write less code and can create those same simple REST endpoints. Okay, and if you come to my Obsidian, you can see a clear-cut comparison with our core Node.js. Okay, so you can see that in context of Express, you can just bring in your Express application. You can define your endpoints, and let's say if these are also nearly about 4 endpoints. But if I even go to 5 or 6 endpoints, still my code will be under 50 lines. Okay, under 50 or 20 lines. Okay, so yeah, you can see that there is a big difference. Okay, here you can see that for creating those 5 endpoints, the code is going nearly 200 plus lines. Okay, and in context of Express, it's just under 50 lines or maybe 20 lines. Okay, so that was the biggest advantage which comes with Express. Okay, so what Express did was Express, reduced our boilerplate code for creating our REST endpoint. So let me just move it to a little bit up, and let me just copy this thing and paste it over here, and I'd say that it reduced the extra code, okay, extra code for creating our endpoints, okay, for creating our endpoints. Okay, so that's the problem which Express resolved. Okay, but now let's say that if this is the reason that Express came into the picture, so why NestJs and why people are switching towards NestJs? Okay, so let's understand that why NestJs came into the picture. Okay, so let me first define that what is the problem which developer faced while using Express. Okay, so if you come to the Express official documentation, which is this expressjs.com. Here you can see that they have already mentioned the biggest problem with Express, and that is this one, which is this unopinionated structure of Express. So let me just copy this thing and let me bring over here and let me just write down the problem here. Okay, and that was this unopinionated structure. Okay, and let me just make it a little bit bigger so you guys can understand that what this unopinionated structures mean. Okay, and let me just move this diagram to somewhere else. Okay, so yeah, this was having a problem of unopinionated structure. Now, what do I mean by unopinionated is that there is not a certain way or a set of rules for writing your Express application. Okay, so let's say if two developers are writing their Express application, they can write those Express application in different ways. Okay, so let's say if I'm having a developer, so let's say this is my developer one. Okay, and he is writing his Express application. Okay, and his folder structure can be different. He can name maybe he can go with API for their main routes. He can go maybe with controllers. Okay, or maybe he can use models, or maybe he can use any other folder structure which he want to like, and he can structure his code accordingly to this folders. Okay, and let's say if there is another developer, and let's say he wants to keep that he wants to write that Express application, but in that context he can name the directories. Maybe it's something different. He can call maybe the API the routes, and maybe the controllers to maybe something like API, and let's say he want to name the models at maybe schemas. Okay, so let's say he's saying that my model is a schema over here. Okay, so schema schema. Okay, now the problem here is that since Express is unopinionated, so every developer has their own way of writing their applications. Okay, and this was the biggest problem for software houses. Okay, so let's say if this is one software house and this is one another software house, and in which developers are working in their own way to write their Express application, and let's say if one of the developers leave, or let's say if this developer leaves from this company and joins this company, so he had to understand the code structure written by this developer. So this developer had to have to explain that what is going on in this code. Although under the hood they are using Express, but since the folder structure is different, the code is distributed in a different way. So this developer has to understand what's going on, and this developer has the responsibility to teach this developer that what's going on in this application. Although he has also worked in Express application on this software house, but yeah, there things were different, and here things were different because this developer wrote things accordingly. Okay, and so that was the unopinionated structure of that Express framework. Okay, so that was the biggest problem which came with the Express. Okay, so for solving that issue, for solving that issue of that unopinionated structure, NestJs came into the picture, and NestJs said that yeah, you can use Express under the hood. Okay, so it will provide you one layer of abstraction of extra. Okay, so if you come to this diagram, you are having node, and node, we can create endpoints, but Express gave us an abstraction. Now there came a third abstraction, which was of NestJs. So let's say if I move my arrow towards one, and this is the third abstraction which came with the help of Node.js. Okay, not Node.js, but NestJs. So this was the third abstraction. Let me just make it a bigger. Okay, now you can use Nest, which under the hood uses Express, and Express obviously under the hood uses that plain core Node.js library. So these are the overall abstractions, and the abstraction of Nest.js was to just provide you a set of rules so you could, solve this unopinionated problem. Okay, let me just write that thing down. Okay, so let's say the concept of Nest was Nest.js provided with set of rules, and I would say structure. Okay, structure which helped developers from company to company. Okay, from company to company. Okay, from company to company. Okay, now let me explain that what do I mean from company to company. Okay, so let's take the same scenario, and let's say if someone is writing, these are the two developers which are working on two different software houses, and now they are using Nest. Okay, so now instead of Express, they are using Nest here as well as Nest here. Okay, now since they are using Nest, so let's say if this developer leaves this company and joins this company, so this developer doesn't need to explain everything to this developer. Okay, because since they are using Nest, so the main structure and the main set of rules remains the same. So that extra time consumption of this developer to explain everything to this developer has been minimized. So these developers can easily work on parallel on the same application, and the software house can boost productivity, since we all know that Nest comes with a predefined set of rules and a structure. So those developers don't need extra explanation that what is going on in that application. In simple words, all the software houses will be following the same set of rules and same set of guidelines to write their Nest.js application. So that's the one benefit why Nest came into the picture. And let me just give you a quick explanation of what do I mean by that structure or set of rules. Okay, so let's say if I go to my Nest.js controller, and now controllers are the way by which you define your endpoints in Nest.js. Okay, and if you scroll down, you can see that this is the syntax of writing your endpoints in Nest.js with the help of these decorators. Okay, so any software house or any developer working on Nest application have to define routes in this simple way. Okay, and that was by using @controller decorator and then @get for defining their get request, and then they can define the method which would return the response back to the client. Okay, so this is the structure or set of rules I want to explain to you guys. Okay, so this is the structure and set of rules which Nest is providing. Okay, and further we are having modules. Okay, so in modules, obviously you can split your application into different modules depending on your business use case, and that modules can contain controllers as well as your services. Okay, so Nest is obviously inspired very much from Angular, so it is going from the same concept. Okay, using the same concept. Okay, so if you are familiar with Angular, so this is nearly the same approach they are using. Okay, so let's say if there is a new business use case in any of the Nest.js application, they will create a module, and that module they will be having controllers and their related services. Okay, and this will be the same structure being used in every software house which are working on that Nest application. Okay, so this is the set of rules and set of structure which comes by default with Nest. And obviously Nest also provides you the structure for naming your file. So let's say if it's a module, so it will be having a .module.ts ahead of that file. And let's say if it's a controller, so in that case you will be having .controller.ts, or if it's a service or a provider, so you will be having .service.ts ahead of that file name. So Nest also provides you those file naming conventions. Okay, so that's a plus, because if any developer joins any application, he can simply understand that .service means that it is service, .modules mean that it's a module, and .controller means that it's a controller. So that's the problem which Nest resolved by coming into the picture, and that's the reason why a lot of software companies and a lot of developers are switching from Express to Nest, because it provides you a structure in which you can any developer can join your company and can easily adjust with that code base which in which they are working. Okay, so that's the overall concept of why people are using Nest. Okay, so yeah, that's the overall concept. I hope you're liking my content. If you're liking my content, so do like and subscribe the channel. I will see you in the next video. Okay, thanks for watching.